Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leader in rushing, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. A little bit of breaking news here this afternoon. It actually dropped right as we wrapped up our live stream earlier today. So I thought, you know what? Why not jump in here and talk about it, as the Packers are getting a little bit of a boost to their defense. Obviously, you lose Micah Parsons to that tough injury. Wraps up his season here in 2025. The plan is to have him back next September, possibly October. And it kind of leaves the Packers defense a little bit shorthanded, although you are getting a player back that played a significant role, in my opinion, on how the defense played last year in terms of finishing, I think, fifth in scoring defense. So again, I think this is something that could come out to be a huge addition for the Packers. And it's not so much about, hey, you know, this guy's going to be an absolute game wrecker, as it is you've got an extra body in a room where you're obviously a little bit shorthanded now, although the edge room has been a strong point for the Packers, I feel like, for some time, especially always having a significant run defense. Well, now you're getting a guy who can get after the quarterback a little bit. So we're going to dive into that real quick, give you guys the numbers on this player and everything in between. Before we do, if you would do that YouTube stuff for me, hit like, hit subscribe. If this is your first time tuning into PTA, welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your afternoon. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media members. We're fans just like you, talking Packers on a daily basis. So if you want to make sure you don't miss a live stream like this one, when we randomly go live with breaking news, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you're notified anytime we do this here in the future. Let's jump right into it. I see Mike Berry in the house. Appreciate you swinging through, buddy. Smash that like button, spin those laces, or kick that soccer ball, whichever one it is. Let's jump into it. Rob Demovsky tweeted out just about an hour ago, the Packers are getting some pass rush help. They have activated defensive lineman Brenton Cox Jr. off injured reserve. Cox has not played since week 1 when he sustained a groin injury. Defensive lineman Colin Oliver will not be added to the roster before the Bears game tomorrow. He remains on PUP. So a couple different things there, right? Brenton Cox Jr. is going to be activated. It sounds like Brenton Cox Jr., they're going to put him on the back burner a little bit. I like this approach, because if it was vice versa and you bring Colin Oliver onto the team, onto the active roster, and you sit Brenton Cox, what you're getting, Colin Oliver, I think we're all excited to see that rookie play. He's a versatile player coming out of college. We broke down the tape significantly when they did draft him this past NFL draft in Green Bay. However, he hasn't played any meaningful reps, right? He hasn't played any reps, to the best of my knowledge, in this Green Bay Packer Jeff Hafley defense. However, you've got Brenton Cox Jr., who played last year, right? And he's more familiar with the defense. So I think this is the right move. Let's kind of treat this as a redshirt year for Colin Oliver. He may play next week. We may get him some meaningful reps by the end of the year. But Brenton Cox Jr., obviously coming back, I think could play a more pivotal role for Jeff Hafley and his defense. Boy, that's scary when the camera goes that close. So Tom Silverstein also tweeted out, we'll just make our rounds across Twitter real quick. He tweeted out, to make room for Cox, funny choice of words there, the Packers put Marshawn Lloyd, running back, on injured reserve as expected. All right, so obviously Tom Silverstein confirming that report from Rob Demovsky, saying they have activated Brenton Cox Jr. off injured reserve. Defensive lineman Colin Oliver with the hammy has been downgraded out for the game versus the Bears. He will not travel to Chicago. So again, they brung Marshawn Lloyd, I believe they put him on the active roster. That was just kind of a procedural move, right? And now they put him back on IR. So I think he's back to IR for 4 more weeks, if I remember correctly. Marshawn Lloyd is. Brenton Cox Jr. ready to play football tomorrow in Chicago. I think this could be a really significant increase. Because, again, look at how Brenton Cox Jr. plays. You know, in college, he bounced around to a couple different colleges. I remember at Florida, he's kind of a hybrid backer. Right. I seen him more as a stack backer, kind of a hybrid stack backer, rush the quarterback type guy. Right. You know, you've got these guys that can play coverage. You got guys that are thumpers against the run. You got the hybrids that you can blitz from time to time, and they can play stack backer, your Wills, your Sams in the 4-3 in college. Right. And then, of course, you've got the guys that are just better at rushing the quarterback, right? I felt like he was a hybrid, and from day one, they put Brenton Cox Jr. as an edge defender. So he's going to be playing edge in this defense. Now, think about Micah Parsons and how he's built, right? Micah Parsons is built different than Rashawn Gary. Rashawn Gary is a bigger edge rusher. His strength is playing the run. Micah Parsons' strength, he can play with power, don't get me wrong. He can play the run, don't get me wrong. He's an elite player, but he rushes with speed most of the time. Like 90% of the time, he's speed rushing, right? I feel like Brenton Cox Jr. is more like Micah in terms of just archetype than Rashawn Gary. So again, you're getting a player that could probably throw from time to time into that joker position and let him kind of rush up the middle with a little more of a speed rush, but it also gives you a little more depth, right? Now, I understand there's a portion of the fan base that thinks, oh, this isn't a huge addition by no stretch of the imagination. I'm not saying that Brenton Cox Jr. is going to even get remotely close to what Micah Parsons did this year, right? Nobody's saying that. However, it is important to point out just how effective he's been. Like last year, I'm going to give you some stats here, right? So Brenton Cox Jr. last year, to the best of my knowledge, and again, PFF, you guys know how I feel about PFF when it comes to stats, right? Again, they don't timestamp it. Hey, this was a win, that was a win, this was a win, that was a win on pass rush. However, Zach Cruz tweeted out small sample size of only 97 pass rush snaps, but Brenton Cox Jr. led all Packers edge rushers in pass rush win rate at 17% and true pass set win rate at 23.2% last season. He had 4 sacks, 17 pressures in only 17 games. So again, I'm pretty sure those are PFF grades. He didn't specifically say that, but that looks like how PFF set the pass rush win rate and all that stuff. Again, I think this is positive news. Those numbers look great on the surface. However, when they don't timestamp it and show you, all right, this is a win, that's a win, it's hard for me to kind of prop that up as the gospel, right? Now, let's just stick with PFF for a minute. When you look at the grades from last year in 2024, these were the top defensive players for Jeff Hafley's defense in the Green Bay Packers. Number 1, Edgerrin Cooper, 85.6. Number 2, Xavier McKinney, 84.7. Number 3, Zane Anderson, 80.8. Might see him this week, right? Jair Alexander, 77.3, only 361 snaps because he was banged up, but still 77.3. Rashawn Gary, 73.0. Katano Ladapo, only 68 snaps, but a 72.9. Evan Williams in the number 7 spot at 72.3. And then at the number 8 spot, Brenton Cox Jr., according to PFF, defensive PFF grade, he played better than Devontae White, Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Aaron Mosby, Carl Brooks, on and on and on, right? So again, according to PFF last year, Brenton Cox Jr. with 187 snaps was your 8th best defender on Jeff Hafley's defense. Now, is that the gospel? No, it's not. But you guys know we like to cross-check stuff. So think about the pass rush win rate that Zach Cruz talked about. Think about everything in between. What does the eye test show you? I think he looked good when you watch the tape with Brenton Cox Jr. The year before, his weak spot was he would really break contain. He would get outside of his rush lane in terms of stopping the run, I should say. He would just rush kind of recklessly. Last year, he really honed in on his skills. I thought he set the edge better. I thought he was more run gap disciplined than he was the year before. And then, of course, you're getting after the quarterback with that pressure rate, right? And again, when you look at the PFF grades, it really does say that Brenton Cox Jr. was a solid football player for the Green Bay Packers. Pass rush grade of 66.4, solid, right? You got a tackle grade of 64.6, a run defense grade of 64.1. And again, the PFF grade of 67.2. That is solid across the board, guys. Again, I know it's not great. It's not in the green. It's not in the 70s, the 80s. But what you got is a solid defender that became well-rounded. Now, the other thing we got to take into consideration is probably going to be some rust there, right? Maybe they won't just throw him out there and give him a whole bunch of snaps, right? And I wouldn't expect they would. But knock that rust off. You get him ready for the playoffs so you can have a little more depth. Again, I think he's a solid player. I really do. Let's just go to the chat real quick, see what everybody is talking about here. We got Coach Lynn in here. What's up, Coach? Appreciate you swinging through. Joe Pack Joe says Brenton Cox Jr. rushes with pure power and strength. He's definitely stronger than he is quicker, in my opinion, but he's got a quicker twitch, and I think like a Rashawn Gary, but not quite as strong as Gary. So he's kind of in between, in my opinion. I'm excited to see him back on the football field for sure, Joe. All right, so there are your PFF grades. Now let's cross-check this like we always like to do. Let's now go over to NFL Pro and see how they felt about Brenton Cox Jr. last year. And let's see if these numbers kind of line up with the effectiveness that PFF said in terms of pass rush win rate, all that stuff. So let's focus on quarterback pressure percentage last year. Okay. You got to remove some of the noise. So we're not going to include the DBs. Those are always going to be spiked way higher because you're catching the offense off guard. Typically, you will get a pressure when you blitz a nickel fire or you bring a safety fire, whether, it's a spur, you're bringing them from deep on a delay, whatever it is. Typically, they have a higher pressure rate. Same thing with stack backers. So you had Keyshawn Nixon at 47%. That's a DB. Along with Xavier McKinney, 30%. That's a DB. Stack backer Eric Wilson, 27%. Throw it out the window. Isaiah McDuffie, throw it out the window at 24. Edgerrin Cooper, same thing, 22. Quay Walker, 18. And then look who is the top true pass rusher in terms of quarterback pressure percentage at 13.7%. That was Brenton Cox Jr. So you're getting a guy that, according to NFL Pro, and this is why I like NFL Pro, you can go to all of these pressures, all 13 of these pressures. We could click that link right there. It would pull up the tape and show you all 13 pressures. So you can confirm for yourself whether it's a pressure rather than just trusting what PFF's saying in their stat column, right? So again, 13.7%, solid. Let's look at sacks. When you sort by sacks for last year, Gary led the way at 7.5, Devontae Wyatt 5, Kingsley Enagbare 4.5, then Brenton Cox Jr. with 4 sacks. Now, you look at that and go, that's not a lot of sacks, Clayton. I agree. However, look at the pass rushes, guys. 95 pass rushes. So the guys who had more sacks than him on the team were Kingsley Enagbare with a half a sack more. Guys, he had 277 pass rush snaps. All right. Now, and when I say pass rush, it's actually pass rushes. So it's not just a pass play snap. It's actually he was rushing the quarterback. He did not drop into coverage. 277 for him, 237 for Devontae Wyatt, and 389 for Rashawn Gary. So again, if you were to take Brenton Cox Jr.'s sack rate, what we call sack rate, right? Let's just say he had 100 pass rushes just to make it easy math here, okay? Let's say he had 100 pass rushes and had 4 sacks. If he had doubled his snaps to 200, he would still be 77 snaps less than Kingsley Enagbare, and he would have finished with 8 sacks if he'd have kept that rate up, while Enagbare finished with 4.5. Guys, that's significant. If he had, let's round Gary's up to 400 for easy math, okay? Gary had 389 pass rushes last year. Let's call it 400 at 7.5 sacks. If Brenton Cox Jr. had 400 snaps, then you quadruple his sack count here. What's that tell you? That would tell you that he would have had 16 snaps or 16 sacks last year. Now, do I think that if Brenton Cox Jr. had played 400 snaps, he'd have finished with 16 sacks? I don't believe that. But would it have been 12? Would it have been 13? I think that's reasonable to think he would have finished with that. So again, I'm not trying to paint Brenton Cox Jr. out as a Micah Parsons replacement. I'm simply saying, boy, oh boy, when you look at the numbers and you compare it according to snap count, pass rushes with the pressure, he led the team in pressure percentage. He would have led the team in sacks if he'd have got the same amount of production with the same amount of snaps that Rashawn Gary, Devontae Wyatt, Kingsley Enagbare, these guys would have had. So I think this is a huge, huge addition. I see you in there, Turt. We can't put it on the screen, but that's pretty funny, my friend. So with all that being said, see, this is how the show gets off track. I think this is a good addition. Ease them up, ramp them up as you get closer to the playoffs, and I think you've got a solid pass rusher that's going to be able to come off the bench. And again, this isn't just NFL Pro data. This is PFF data. This is PFF grade. This is PFF pass rush win rate and true pass set win rate. And then you've got the sacks and the quarterback pressure percentage from NFL Pro as well. So across the board, he checked the box on the tape. He checks the box on PFF. He checks the box on PFF premium stats. He checks the box on NFL Pro data with the tape to back it up. I'm excited about this edition. I think it comes at a good time that you've got LVN getting as healthy as he's been all year. Hopefully he's 100% for this game against the Bears. You're going to have Rashawn Gary, LVN, right? Kingsley Enagbare has been playing pretty solid football, I think we would all agree. And now you're getting Brenton Cox Jr. back. You got Barron Sorrell in the fold. Let's hold Colin Oliver off a little bit. And you kind of bolster that edge room a little bit more as you get closer to the playoffs, man. Really, really excited about that. Coach Lynn says excited about Cox being back. I'm fired up, man. I'm fired up. As he said before, I kind of wanted to see Colin Oliver had. Same, coach, same. But at the same time, We know Britton Cox Jr. is more game ready right now because he's played in this defense. And you know this, you're a coach. But as you get a little closer to the playoffs, maybe you ease Colin Oliver back into the fold and see what he's got as well, right? So it's exciting, man. I think it's a good solid addition. I don't think you can look at, there's some people saying bring in Matthew Judon. I put a tweet out going, listen, I'm not saying you should bring in Matthew Judon. His numbers, his production has been cheeks, but he does have ties to Coach Covington from the New England Patriot days when I think he made a Pro Bowl up there under the coaching of Coach Covington. So with that being said, it's like when you look at Matthew Judon as a street free agent, numbers don't look great. And then you look at Britton Cox Jr., who's familiar with the scheme and already had production in this scheme, albeit as a backup. If you had both of those as free agents available with everything on the table we just discussed, I'm picking Britton Cox Jr. over Matthew Judon. There's no two ways about it. So really excited about this. I want to know what you guys think in the comments. If you're watching this back later, let me know, how do you feel about the Britton Cox Jr. addition? Do you think it's going to play a key role in the Packers defense down the stretch? Or maybe you think, this is a big nothing burger. We want to hear from everybody. Let us know in the comments. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live with breaking news like this in the future. Appreciate everybody jumping in here. Smash that like button, spin the laces, or kick that soccer ball, whatever it takes. All right. Appreciate everybody dropping through. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack Go.
Here we go.
We're out. Bye, guys.